On a frigid night in April 1912, the Titanic, a modern marvel of engineering, sailed through the icy waters of the North Atlantic. This so-called unsinkable ship was on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City and carried over 2,200 passengers and crew, ranging from the wealthiest elites to hopeful immigrants seeking a new life in America. As the clock neared midnight on April 14th, a lookout spotted an iceberg dead ahead. Despite desperate efforts to steer clear, the Titanic struck the iceberg along its starboard side. The collision tore a series of gashes below the waterline, dooming the ship. Panic spread as the realization set in the Titanic was sinking. Lifeboats, too few in number and insufficient for all aboard, were lowered into the freezing ocean. In the chaos, women and children were given priority, leaving many men and third-class passengers with little hope of survival. As the stern of the Titanic lifted high into the air, the ship broke into two, and at 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, it slipped beneath the waves, taking more than 1,500 souls to their icy graves. The survivors, adrift in lifeboats, endured the bitter cold until the RMS Carpathia arrived hours later to rescue them. The sinking of the Titanic remains a haunting tale of human ambition and the fragile nature of life, a stark reminder of the limits of man's mastery over nature. Today we will take a look back at the story of one man, Charles Joughin, the chief baker of the RMS Titanic and one of the most remarkable survival stories of that fateful night. Late on the night of April 14th, 1912, Charles had finally fallen asleep after a hard day's work in the ship's kitchen, baking hundreds of pastries and desserts for the ship's passengers. However, it would be anything but a restful night for this British baker, as suddenly he was awoken by a tremendous jolt. He felt the vessel shudder violently beneath him. Then, after a momentary pause, it continued moving forward. Charles was puzzled, but not unduly alarmed. He knew that icebergs had been sighted in the water. He also knew that Captain Edward Smith had ordered a change of course, steering the Titanic into a more southerly route in order to avoid potentially encountering one of these massive North Atlantic icebergs. Assuming the danger had passed, Charles tried to return to sleep, but moments later, at 11:35 p.m., just a few minutes after the initial jolt, he was summoned to the bridge. Here, he was given some most unwelcome information. Captain Smith had dispatched an inspection team to check below the deck for any issues. The team returned with devastating news. The ship had collided with an iceberg, causing severe damage to the hull. Rivets had been dislodged along a stretch of about 90 meters, and seawater was now flooding into the ship at an alarming rate. Worst of all, the watertight compartments had also been breached. It was apparent that in a few short hours, the so-called unsinkable ship would be at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. As the ship's chief baker, Charles now swung into action. Being that he was a member of the crew, he knew his fate was likely sealed, but that didn't stop him from doing all he could do to help the situation. He arose his fellow chefs from their beds and began to gather all the loaves of bread they could find. They ran back and forth through the chaos, delivering 4 loaves of bread to each lifeboat before they were lowered into the icy waters. These men knew there were not enough boats for all the passengers. The Titanic had 2,223 people on board, yet there were only enough lifeboats for 1,178 people, a dire situation for the members of the crew, who most certainly would be the last priority at a chance of survival aboard these lifeboats. As the final loaves of bread were delivered to the last of the lifeboats, the ship began to tilt at an alarming angle. So Charles did what many a man would do facing their imminent doom. He decided to get absolutely proper drunk. He descended down into his cabin that had begun to flood. Here he broke into his whiskey stock, and according to his own account, chugged down 2 bottles of the brown hooch. Drunk as a skunk and fueled by liquid courage, Charles ran back up to the main deck and began pushing and throwing hesitant women and children into lifeboats. Once this was done, he staggered along the heavily tilting deck, thinking to himself how long it would take for the ship to sink. Then he had another idea as he began throwing deck chairs, cushions, and other objects overboard in the hope that people in the water might be able to use them as rafts. Then the beyond drunken baker immediately began to make his way to the stern of the ship and clung on to the railing. In the final moments as the ship went down, now at a near 90-degree angle, tightened his life jacket, shifted some items in his pocket, and calmly stood, wondering what next to do when she went down. At 2:20 a.m., the remaining half of the Titanic went vertical and sank into the depths, with Charles being one of, if not the last person to enter the icy Atlantic waters. Now in the water, he found himself surrounded by the horror of 1,500 screaming, panicked souls, drowning and freezing to death. Thanks to the liquor running through his system, Charles didn't panic and calmly paddled around, recalling that he couldn't even feel the cold. something that other survivors claim felt like 1,000 knives being driven into one's body. At one point, he swam towards a lifeboat filled with 25 men. However, he was denied boarding as the boat was at capacity and they couldn't risk a capsize. But a cook on board recognized Charles and offered to hold him as he floated next to the boat. By this time, it was a miracle Charles was still alive. The water temperature was 2 degrees below freezing. Most passengers and crew who had jumped into the water had died of hypothermia within 15 minutes, but not Charles. He would remain in the water for over 2 hours before he was finally pulled aboard another lifeboat that came alongside the full boat he was floating next to. Along with the survivors, he was eventually rescued by the RMS Carpathia, which arrived at the wreck site at 4:10 a.m. This was an almost physiologically impossible feat of survival, and according to the British Titanic inquiry, it was because the 33-year-old Englishman had the presence of mind to greet history's greatest maritime disaster by getting smashed. When in doubt, drink it out, I guess. However, in the century since, hypothermia experts have noted that this case was an outlier, as typically a drunk man will freeze to death faster than a sober man due to vasodilation, the phenomenon of warm blood rushing to the surface of the skin. Nevertheless, the relaxing qualities of alcohol have long been known to give humans an uncanny ability to survive trauma. So perhaps in the end, it was just dumb drunk luck that saved Charles on this fateful night. Following his harrowing drunken night in the waters of the Atlantic, Charles returned to work only a few days after the Titanic sank. Then in 1914, when the First World War broke out, he joined the Merchant Navy and went right back to baking on the high seas. Unfortunately, the Titanic catastrophe was not Charles's last shipwreck, as he was on board the SS Oregon when it sank in Boston Harbor. He survived that disaster as well, perhaps once again fortifying himself through the power of whiskey. One might say Charles had a knack for surviving shipwrecks and an unquenchable thirst for adventure, or at least for whiskey. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments how you would have tried to survive the Titanic. Make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.